All right, let us move on to our next speaker. I'm pleased to introduce the director of AQURA Enviro Projects Private Limited, a prominent environmental consultancy firm in India. And he has been providing exceptional consulting services in the field of climate change and environment for over a decade and a half. Please put your hands together for Mr. PRASHANT WAGH. The floor is yours, Prashant.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Everyone is aware of the global warming and its results, the climate change. Because of the global warming, climate change is there. Net zero is one of the strategies of mitigating the risk of climate change. Well, I'll be talking about the net zero and the benefit of the net zero, since we all are here, the business leaders, the experts, and the decision makers of their own company, might be a nation. To understand the importance of the reduction of greenhouse gases emission, every person who is either team member, as I said, or a decision maker in the organization need to know the basic science behind climate change and its impact on the society and the business at large. But we are not talking about the science of the climate change. We will be directly coming to the solution, that is the net zero. Okay. Today, climate risk is the highest risk for all the businesses and their investments also. However, due to time restrictions, we will be discussing about the net zero. Now, how the net zero is arrived, everyone must be aware about the Paris Agreement to control the global warming by keeping the Earth temperature below 2 degrees Celsius of pre-industrial level. Article 4 of the Paris Agreement of COP21, which was there in Paris in 2015, the agreements mandate the signatory nation to declare their nationally determined contributions, NCDs. Hence, many nations have come up with the legislation. For example, UK's Climate Change Act 2008, Germany's Climate Action Act 2021, and Kuwait's and UAE's, where we are now, as a national adaptation plan. And the latest government of India has come up with the Green Credit Program implementation rule to 2023 in June, just 2 months back. The objective of this rule is that the businesses must set and align their reduction in greenhouse gases emission goal with their nation's emission target. It has compelled the businesses to reduce the emission of the greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous, and various PFCs. So all the business leaders, all the companies head are here. They can, some might have started, or those who are not started, they have to start the setting their net zero emission. How can you align this? So there are two strategies at present. One is a carbon neutrality, another is net zero. So in order to arrive to your strategy, the businesses has to do some prerequisites. They have to collect some data. So what are those prerequisites? Both the strategies require monitoring, accounting, reporting of emissions, particularly scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. Further, reporting them in a prescribed format. What is the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3? And this is something, a sort of a technicality. The scope 1 emission is the emission which is coming out of the processes. Scope 2 is the energy, the emission responsible for the supply of the energy. And the scope 3 is very important and very vast and very difficult to calculate. Is the scope 3 emissions accounts the emission of the supplier, logistic partner, the external services such as consultants, experts that are brought, and course, and of course the employees, travel, etc. Calculation of scope 3 emission is tedious job. Scope 3 emission, indirect emission, which may be 60 to 80% of the total emission depending upon the size and the nature of the businesses. It is said that by Mr. Alistair Marsh, who is a Bloomberg reporter, he said that the emission generated by the investment banks and the private equity firms by their investment is also a part of their banks or the private equities emission. So they are also responsible for the emission. Now I'll go directly to the carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality is achieved by offsetting. So I mentioned about the two strategies, one about the carbon neutrality, another is the net zero. So why the strategies are important now for every businesses? Because day by day the government is every government is coming with, as I mentioned, that they have the laws, now the rules, and every company has to set their net zero target in line with their respective country's net zero target. So they have to adopt either of the strategy, either carbon neutrality. Carbon neutrality is achieved by offsetting the emission by purchasing carbon credits. Means if you are generating emission over here, you can buy the credits from the other side, and generally the credits are generated by renewables or the forestations, by the planting the trees. But it is offsetting is not a permanent solution. Offsetting by forestation demands stricter monitoring protection of the planted trees, which is a project by itself. And we know that the wildfires is going all around, even presently when we are talking about, the Greece is facing a lot of problems. So the protection of trees is very difficult. Further, race to offsetting will increase the price of offsetting, and it also depends on offsetting agencies which are external to the businesses, and the offsetting laws are also vulnerable to the changes in future. So these are the reason, and the most important reason is that if you offset, if you buy some from the carbon market, but at the same time you are emitting it, so the emission will not stop, and it is not good in the longer term. So the net zero is the better option. Conversely, net zero strategy demands for reduction of GHG on site, that is within the business processes. So net zero is that if you are into the business of manufacturing, of services, or even an investment banker, you have to go and revisit your processes. We call it as a BPR, the business processes re-engineering, and revisit it. And you may find that doing revisiting, correcting the existing processes in order to reduce your business emissions or the company's emission. Serendipitously, these exercises may innovate more economical solutions, such as application of green chemistry. Green chemistry itself is a big subject. I consider this is a platform. You guys are leaders, so you can take these words, the green chemistry, the sustainability, and the climate change, net zero, carbon neutrality, and you can implement, or rather now it's not a matter of can, it has a matter of yes, you have to. So surreptitiously, the exercise may innovate more economical solutions, such as application of green chemistry for sourcing the local material, adopting circular economy, thereby reducing the important raw material. And there are other benefits also, reputational benefits, retention of talent. The millennials are ready to work with this company, those who are responsible for the betterment and the sustainability of the earth. And there are financial benefits also. There are a lot of things are there we can discuss. But since the time is limited, so I request whenever I am there, if anybody wants to discuss about the climate change out of curiosity or out of the inquiry, so please contact me during the networking session. So like Avinash said, my last word about the net zero is, if you reduce in your business the emission, the greenhouse gas emission, it is going to impact the globally. So the mantra is reduce locally, impact globally. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you.